We have a question over here, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me with this. I'm sorry, I haven't read the book. I was kind of hoping to get a presentation on neat stories explaining Bible to me, but I do love those sort of, maybe you consider them amateur books and popular histories that come out periodically. And there's one in particular I read a couple years ago that I wonder if you could get your professional opinions on. If you ever heard of Return to Sodom and Gomorrah. And there were several theories that were published in there. One, you speak about the Exodus a lot, and I've seen this written up in a number of magazines. Perhaps you treat it in your book, where the Exodus is correlated with the explosion of Santorini in the Eastern Aegean, and perhaps a revolution in Egypt where the native dynasties supplanted foreign invaders, right, that the Jews had maybe been allied with, and they were expelled, and there happened to be this volcanic period that people would have said, hey, wow, this is pretty amazing, let's write it down. And in the same book, they also treated Eden perhaps as sort of a transformation of an old Babylonian tale that may be dated to the end of the last ice age in the bottom of what is now the Persian Gulf, where agriculture arose, and when the ice caps melted, it flooded. You know, so all of these things kind of have scientific explanations, perhaps, and those were ones offered in some of these pop histories. And I wondered if those are, if there's any consensus on that kind of story.
Yes, there's a consensus. It ain't true. You will like my book. I deal with all that, and I think it's chapter 4. What you are, in a nutshell, just to answer directly, what you're referring to is the eruption of Santorini in Greece. And this is the favorite thing to link with the Exodus, because with the eruption you get a tsunami. With the tsunami you get water coming back and then coming back in, and maybe the 10 plagues. Simka Jakobovici did something on the Exodus Decoded. The problem is the dating. The Santorini erupted now, according to carbon-14 and radiocarbon dates, in approximately 1628 BC, give or take 20 or 30 years. The Exodus, the earliest it could possibly have happened, even following the biblical chronology, is about 1450 BC. So that eruption happened 200 years or 150 years too early. It cannot be connected no matter what. But this is exactly what I was trying to get at. These, you read them all over the place. They're favorite. My students come in, my relatives come in, and that's exactly, and I deal with them, I try very even-handedly. I can see why you're saying this, and here's why it's just not going to work. So yeah, I'm familiar with that book, and I'm familiar with the author, and I gently debunk some of these things. But it's an interesting idea, but it's not right.
I'll take the other side. It is connected. And the reason I won't even argue with his with his dating. But the interesting thing is, if you believe as I do, and most of I get the feeling the other panelists do also, and Eric, the Bible is subject to scientific looks, and some of this didn't happen the way it says it happened. But it's a little like a historical novel where you have realistic things, and the question why it's connected in my mind is because something impelled a belief in a miracle, and maybe it was the experience, the folk memory of this Santorini explosion, which created a huge wave that went back, and the sea parted. So that is a fact, and it may have influenced the story the same way that the Gilgamesh epic and the creation stories from Babylonia it affected the Bible.
Well, if that's true, then in my opinion, the Bible's wrong. If this book is true, because, and I'm fitting it in with the whole genre of literature that tries to explain the plagues and the parting of the Red Sea according to naturalistic explanations. That's not where the Bible's coming from, So to be able to, I think these stories appeal to people who want to have naturalistic explanations for biblical stories.
We have a question over here.